Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Mira Kelly, and I'm so thrilled to be with Jhenna-Vie today. And I just learned what your name means. So, can you say how your parents named you this name?
Yeah, they created their own spelling. They knew Jenna meant joy and V meant life. So they decided to throw it together and make up their own spelling.
And remind you always to enjoy life. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Amazing. And I also love you and I were both noticing how we have the waves as pictures as our background. So, that is so cool. And
Water
so,
energy.
yes, completely. Yes. And so I'm really excited for us to dive into our coaching call today. And you and I connected a few days ago, and you shared a little bit about your question. But I would love for you to start from a clean slate and take us right into it.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So recently, actually one day I just woke up and I had this calling. I'm just like, oh, I need to look at my past lives. And I've never had that thought before, like at all. Like, I haven't even thought, about past lives. And um, so I woke up and just found a past life regression online. And I did a past life regression. And then pretty much the few days following, I've been doing past life regressions every morning. And what I'm seeing throughout these regressions is the same particular person, and that me and this person are romantically involved. She does look very similar to a woman that I still have feelings for to this day. Um, and I feel like we're soulfully connected throughout all these lives because I've seen her, and in all of these lives, there's this kind of masculine energy tearing us apart. And it usually, or I can get into detail later, but I end up getting stabbed frequently. One that I woke up in this morning, I actually crashed a plane and committed suicide because of this relationship as well. Um, but and it always ends up this woman watching, like witnessing my death. And so I guess my question is, this repetitive, um, reoccurring story throughout my past, because it seems very real when I'm going through this. It's very, very real.
How does it come through for you? Does it come through um, images, feelings? Like, how do you experience it in terms of the senses?
All of the above: images, feelings,
Yeah,
smell,
yeah,
taste.
yeah,
It's very vivid, and I'll even, like, throughout it, I'll cry. And one time I even, like, cried out her name
yeah,
because I watched her witness my death, and I watched her being, like, held back by people
yeah,
trying to stop my death.
yeah.
And so I guess my question is, like, how do I connect that to life now and get past whatever needs to get past? And, like, how do I be receptive to love if now that, like, I feel like there's a space of abandonment for me? Like, what shows up in my relationships now
Yeah.
is this sense of, like, I'll never be the one. Like, there's always a third party. There's always going to be somebody else. And I'm finding that's taking me away from my relationships, and I get closed down or jaded, or I'm, like, giving so much, but I'm not, like I'm not able to give my true full heart to anyone, um, based on this fear. And all I want to do is create, like, a fertile soil for love and growth to develop, and, like, have interconnectivity with, all the roots that I plant and the roots that are planted in my soil. So I want to be able to be receptive to love, and I want this person, if this person is in my past life and it's like a repetitive cycle, like, I want them to get past the fear, because it feels like they obviously have a fear about coming forward too.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Like, that's my question. Like, how do I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
like,
let's figure it
oh,
out. So I want to
yeah,
ask you if you can share some more detail with me about these past lives. So it's been a few by now, right?
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, the first one, I think I was somewhere like it was on a bank of a river, and I think I was either Native American. We spoke a different language, or maybe Egyptian. I'm not sure, but I had this like emerald pendant around my neck, and I was leaning down to the edge of this river, and I was barefoot, just kind of washing something, and I felt this presence behind me, and I kind of flashed back through different sequences. One was like where I lived, where it was just very humble. And apparently I had like this affair with this mistress of this house, like that she was higher power.
Yeah,
And she looked exactly like the woman that I'm still,
yeah,
you know, in love with today. That I'm not talking to at the moment.
yeah,
And there was this energy behind me, this dark man came up behind me while I was at this river, and he was the husband. It like kind of it's almost like a knowing as the picture went through.
yeah,
There was a knowing of who these players were in this dream sequence.
yeah.
And this man came out and grabbed me and began to rape me. And I saw her in the distance being held back by other men, her screaming, trying to stop it, and him taking a knife and stabbing me right through the heart.
Yeah.
And I saw this knife, this blade, it was kind of curved. I'd never seen a knife like that before, but later on that day I went to Knott's Berry Farm and saw the exact same knife in a case, displaying historically this knife, but it was the only one that didn't have a description on it, which just like blew my mind. I'm just like, what is this knife? You know, like,
Yeah.
and so I saw like when I died, I screamed for her, and then I just woke up.
Yeah. Did you get any learning of what the lesson is?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
I feel like we are supposed to be together, but there's always this other energy coming in,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
All
this
right.
feeling,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No.
and trying
No.
to break us up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how about the
And
other lives? Yeah.
yeah, the other one, the second one I had, I was like we were schoolgirls, and kind of like this. I don't know if you've seen Anne of Green Gables, but I can't remember the time period, but it was like those old schoolhouses where it's just one single house for all the kids. And the kids didn't like me in the school, and they began chasing me. And the one girl who was the same energy as this other woman, same person, just we were little. She was my friend, but was afraid to speak up that she was my friend.
Yeah.
And all the kids went chasing me into the woods and teasing me. And her brother, kind of a big burly kid, said, "You can't see my sister like ever again. I don't want to hear about you seeing her ever again." And he pushed me, and I fell back. And he didn't mean to, but there was some sort of rusty nail or something, like a big like spike coming out of the ground, like a railroad track spike.
Yeah.
And it stabbed me right through the back. And then I kind of lifted out of my body and saw her again crying over my body.
Yeah.
And that was another one. The other sequences, I was like a scribe in a Egyptian tomb, and I was carving the wall, and she came up behind me, same, and all of them were her, like it was that person. And she came up behind me, and we just started like making love on this Egyptian tomb floor and like under candlelight. And it was just beautiful. And then I fell asleep during the meditation, but the whole dream sequence throughout my sleep was just us holding each other. But I could sense there was somebody that walked in and saw, like the sense if there's somebody else. And then I had a few other ones like that where it was just us together.
Yeah.
And then the final, actually this morning I did another one just to see. And I dreamt that we were in this, I think it was on the East Coast somewhere, with these grass coming out all over the beach, and there was the ocean and these cliffs. And I felt like we were kind of progressive for our time. And we were just like cuddling and laughing together on the beach floor in the grass. And then it flipped to a different scene where we did have a kid, which actually looks a lot like her kid now. But we were just, it was really dark, and I was crying, and she was telling me how she was leaving me because of this other person.
Yeah.
And I was really upset, and I left, and it flipped the scene again to me drinking in the bar, and her coming into the bar, and I'm just like, that's it, I'm done. And I like left, and she's like, no, don't go. And I was a pilot. So I went to go to my plane and jump in my plane. And she's like, don't go, you've been drinking. I'm like, no, I'm done with this. And I like took off, left her behind. I was like drinking in a plane, and I just see these cliffs. I'm like, that's it, I'm done. And I just committed suicide, just like crashed, right? And I watched her watch me crash into the cliff.
Yeah.
So that is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And all of them have been very intense, very vivid. And it's like, man, like right now I'm not talking to her, and it's not my choice right now. I have no way of contacting her. But you know, there's been times where there has been reaching out to each other, and like just, you know, and it's painful.
Oh gosh, and, my heart goes out to you. I totally hear the pain, right? The longing, the desire to figure it out and to be with the one you love. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like even worse now that I'm like traveling back in these past lives.
Yeah.
And it's like I see it, I see the truth, and it's like, man, like, am I just making this up? But then I like see it, and it's like feels real, it looks real. It's the same person, or is it my psyche just making it up?
What has the love story between the two of you been in this life? I imagine at a certain point there was more intimacy, right? More closeness.
Yeah. It was very fiery at first, and very loving, and but I always felt like there was something unsaid between us, and I gave a lot. And there was a lot of misunderstandings. But I could never explain it. I don't know why I loved her so much. It's like we were yin and yang, like opposites, you know? But there was this like, I don't know, it was just like raw and carnal for me, you know? And I like, but I saw that in this relationship now, looking back, like I did give so much of myself that, and this is something that I've learned from this relationship, and many others. I give so much of myself. I'm such a people pleaser that it's almost like I whittle away my own identity or vitality a little bit, because I'm giving so much that I never really looked at myself. I never really found my own soul. I didn't know myself.
Yeah.
And it's like now the lesson I'm learning is, well, if I give so much in relationships, like I need to, you know, be able to balance, like create balance. Otherwise I won't be able to go forth and with my soulmate. If I continue to do this, I won't be able to go with my soulmate without mating with my own soul. So right now I'm just really focused on getting to know my soul, and, you know, really balancing and meditating and just like helping others and just finding my goal in life and just like finding who I am. And I'm loving it. I'm finding a self-love. And so like, I guess I could say I'm preparing myself to have like to be prepared for this love whenever it comes around again, or even if it's not this person, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would love it to be this person, but basically to get back to the sorry. I was like, basically this person, you know, there was misunderstandings, and I think that caused like a disconnection.
Yeah.
And then there was other parties involved, and she left me for another person.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't stand by, I couldn't watch, so I reached out and said I couldn't do it anymore and even be friends right now. And it's been a long time. It's been, I don't know how long. I don't know,
How long?
years,
Years.
years.
Have you been meanwhile dating other people, or is your heart so deeply in that you haven't moved on?
I haven't moved on.
Yeah.
I have dated,
Yeah.
but it seems like there's always the same story still. You know, there's always the, you know, like I think I've only been with like maybe 2 people since. And one wasn't even like a real relationship. It was like a one night thing. And then there was a big blow up and it was done. And then the other one, she was getting out of a divorce.
Yeah.
And it was too much emotion for her to handle. There was just too much. So there was still that third party.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
she left me.
Yeah.
And
So
but really, not really.
yeah, I hear you. I absolutely get what you're saying. And so it really sounds like a repetitive pattern, right? Not just in this lifetime, but also in other lifetimes too. And so, if anything, I'm so glad that you're realizing that your work is to literally break the pattern. And then the person who comes, right? Not so much focus on, I need to break this pattern so that she comes back, right? This woman comes back. But it's more so of, this is really about my soul. This is really about me getting in this life. And if she comes back, wonderful, we'll create a new beginning. But not focusing on, I need to do this work so she comes back. You see the difference of what I'm saying?
Right.
Right, that's so hard to hear, because I know that the heart is longing and the heart is saying, but she was perfect. Now that I know better, I want to do better. And still, I want to pose a question, and the question is, what if she showed up in your life to simply be the teacher? Right, literally be like, remember, are you gonna learn now? All right, like, how many more times do we need to do? There we
Sorry.
go. That's okay.
It cut out for a second.
Yeah, so I was saying to you, what if she's really coming into your life, in this life, not to be this forever love story, but to be the greatest teacher, right? To be the greatest teacher in terms of, I'm here to support you in this learning. And if it was just the cashier at the local grocery store that you had a 2 minute thing with, like, oh, you would have never paid attention to really say, it's time to learn this lesson. You see what I mean? It had to really come in such a deep emotional way so that you can be like, okay, it's time, and I'm going to sit down and do the work. And so I think this makes sense to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I am doing it for my own personal healing and growth, and also, it could show up in different ways, and I just don't know, And if it did show up in that way, like, I definitely would want, now I see that I have had a lot of like self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
So I would definitely want, like, now that I see that my fear is not being the one, like, I would want whoever it is that's coming for me to be like, yeah, this one's the one. Like, I am willing to choose
And
You know,
so, and so I want to ask you to think of it really as a two-step thing, right? So, recently I did an interview with this woman called Tracy Porterfield, and Tracy is a matchmaker, and she spoke of giving and receiving as an infinity sign, right? She was even doing this with her hands, so I can visually get it as she was talking and explaining. And so you cannot just give, but also you cannot receive only, right? Like it doesn't, that's not a balanced person if it's on only one end. And like you were saying, in an effort to be loved, in an effort to make sure they make you the one, they approve of you, they like you, you've been pleasing people. So you've been on the giving end of things. Let me make you the focus of everything. Let me, and it's a altruistic, loving, generous thing to do, but it's also a very selfish and scheming thing to do, right? I'm going to give,
yeah.
give, give, so hopefully you'll pay attention to me, right? And so it doesn't, we want to move you beyond that. So I want to ask you to start thinking of giving and receiving as an infinity symbol. One doesn't work without the other. And remember this thing we have all seen in every airplane. First, put your mask on yourself. And I honestly hate that they give the example of the mother and the child, because no mother will ever put the mask on her child second,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like if you actually do it with another person, people will get it. But what I'm trying to get at is, as you focus on allowing others to give you, because I was saying the two-step thing. So the first step is really to ask you to start giving to yourself, right? Because I want to ask you the giving part of this infinity symbol, right? The one of those two circles of the number 8, sideways. Think of it as the first step being giving to yourself, right?
Mhm.
In other words, in other words, uh, how can you become your own best friend? How can you become your own soulmate? And you already get this. You spoke of this. You alluded to this. But this art of self-care, as people talk about it these days, doesn't have to be big things. It's literally as simple as, what do you need right now? What will make you feel good right now, right? Or how is this thought supportive? How is this feeling supportive? In other words, literally being your best friend and treating yourself from that place of love. And this is you constantly saying, I'm enough, I'm worthy of my own love, I'm the one for me, right? Because that's what you are saying. I'm not the one for them, but for me, I'm the one. And so this first step is about giving to yourself before you give to others. And this is, I mean, gosh, if I were to start a club for women, which is going to be the club of women who overgive and put everybody else ahead of themselves, I feel like we'll be a very popular club. On
Yeah.
every continent, every country, we'll have sisters everywhere, right? So my hope for you is to take this literally on a moment to moment basis for yourself, and literally treat yourself with the utmost importance. Um, Nathan Ross, a friend of mine, teaches something really, really beautiful. He tells people, just shower love and forgiveness, right? So, for example, he says, go into the bathroom and really deeply look into your eyes, and say to yourself, I'm so sorry. I love you, right? And also any place where we haven't been loving ourselves, whether it's with food, whether it's with our body, whether it's with how much we work, or how little we move and exercise, right? We know where all those places where we can love ourselves more, right? So literally going into the bathroom, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm sorry, I love you. And how about if you take this even a step further to build on what Nathan talks about? How about if you just look at yourself in the mirror, really look and say to yourself, you're the one for me. You're the one. You're the one for me, right? And make yourself laugh, but also feel this openness in your heart of, Yeah, yeah. I'm done waiting for somebody to give me that title and to give me that permission. I'm gonna give this to myself, right? I'm worthy of this love. I'm worthy of me loving me finally without needing to get somebody else to give me that first, right?
Right. Yeah, and I have been doing I like that, you're the one for me in the mirror. That's nice. And I have been doing like, I actually made a list of like ways I could love myself. I do like a jade egg practice through like Layla Martin, and I
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
like today I was like, okay, how can I love myself? Okay, I'm taking a bubble bath, so I like took a
Nice,
bubble bath, or
nice.
like anything that I could do to really build up my my own like love for myself.
Yeah,
And it's been really showing up lately, to the point where I'm like, okay, like I'm getting to this point where I'm really starting to love myself. So I actually
amazing.
created a YouTube channel to start helping launch like healing and different methods of healing in the world. And so
Oh, let's
that
give you a shout out. Tell us the YouTube
uncovered us.
channel.
What's that?
Let's give you a shout out. Tell me the YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's called Another Day in Paradise. And so I'm discovering it as I go. I just
Yeah,
decided, like, you know what, now it's time, like I'm feeling this calling to help others around the
amazing.
world with all of my healing practices and all of the people in connect community around me, and how I can reach out to others to bring healing to the world. So the topics have been ranging from, I've only done like 5 videos, but
You're practicing it, right? And you're
I'm
putting that out there. I love that.
yeah,
And so I
yeah.
want to ask you now to start putting that in practice as you project into the future, right? The second thing that I spoke of. Project into the future as you imagine this relationship. I want to ask you to consciously start writing a new script for yourself. And
Mm.
what that means is literally start saying over and over and over, start saying to yourself, I'm the one, I'm the one, I'm the one. I am the one. Why would anybody want anybody else? I am everything. I'm amazing. I'm interesting. And honestly, I don't want to be everybody's cup of tea. I cannot date everybody, as many as people may want me. I really want to date one person and create depth and intimacy with that person. So for that one person, I'll be everything, right? I'll be the person to keep discovering over time and keep on getting excited about. And in other words, the adventure becomes us, right? The adventure is, and so what I really want to ask you is to in support of this, I want to ask you to stop doing these past life regressions looking for what's wrong, right? Because all this is doing is showing you what's wrong. And remember
Mhm.
that Einstein quote, of course, I'm not going to quote it, right? But the idea being that the solution is not on the level of the problem, the solution is above the problem. So you were able to, and kudos for you to waking up and saying, being so well guided and saying, I gotta look into past lives, right? And figuring out that it's the same problem, right? The same problem of there's somebody else and I always get hurt for love, right? I sacrifice for love, and love never delivers for me, right? I'm always the one who gets stabbed, hurt, I hurt myself, but it never ends well. And so now you know this. So please don't look
Yeah.
for past life regressions
Yeah.
anymore. That because they will just keep reinforcing and looping the cycle, right? You don't want that anymore. If anything, if you actually choose to do another past life regression, I actually want to ask you to do a regression where you see a lifetime where you were chosen, where you were the one, where somebody loved you and cherished you, where that person was more invested in you than you were in them. Like, try that for a change, because I guarantee you, your soul has created those experiences as well. Because remember, what I teach is that time is not linear, time is simultaneous. So, if this is a new idea for you, please look up my book, Beyond Past Lives, in which I describe this in so much more detail. But to apply this to our conversation here, what I'm saying to you is that You cannot say, oh yeah, karmically, I'm still in this stuck place where I'm having this issue. I've had it through these past lives. I haven't figured it out yet. And here I am in this life is who I am today, trying to figure it out, but still the same issue. No, no, no. Time is simultaneous, which means that right now, as you're experiencing this question, you have also experienced lifetimes where the answer was clear, where you have already bridged the gap. So ask for lifetimes where you can be, oh, I'm loved. I viscerally know what it feels like to be loved and supported. Is that making sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So then you come out of a very vivid and intense regression and you're like, yeah, I'm done with this issue. I'm so worthy. Of course they choose me. Who else would they choose? I'm amazing. I'm God's greatest gift on, to this earth, right? Like that kind of cheekiness. And so use regression in that way to awaken those feelings in you. Some time ago, I worked with this woman and her question was money, and she was saying to me, i um, I'm doing all these meditations to create wealth. I really want to feel what it feels like to be prosperous so I can actually manifest that into my life. But you know what? I came from a very poor background. I had nothing. My siblings still have nothing. I still have nothing. So she's like, I'm looking for that feeling. I don't know how to find it. So sure enough, as she and I worked together, I guided her through an experience where she experienced that. So she has it, right? Like that feeling of, oh, abundance, easy access to everything that is pleasurable and good and fulfilling, that supports me, that allows me to serve the world. So use regression that way, right?
Mhm.
Because you got to understand something else. What you were doing, I was talking about looping, but let me explain it differently, is you were literally reinforcing the emotional addiction to being abandoned and to not being chosen and to you not being able to move on. And I don't say emotional addiction lightly at all, because think of this example. It really is a chemical addiction, and that our bodies become ourselves because become addicted because think of it in this very simple example. Somebody sees a sexually explicit image, or not even that explicit image of right, just image that stimulates them sexually. They have the thoughts, and hormonally they release the hormones, and guess what, all of a sudden they're all turned on and excited. Not much happened other than a thought and the hormones and the emotion, right? So you're doing the same thing constantly by thinking about her, comparing her to everybody. Nobody's better than her because she tugged at your greatest wound in such a powerful way that nobody else can stimulate you chemically that much. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
So you also have to question this romantic notion of we're destined to be together from this biological place of, damn, this is just an addiction. This is literally well-trained neural pathways to repeat the same thought over and over. And then the chemical reaction. And yeah, I gave her a pretty great chance in life, right? I was there for her, but it's been quite a while and I love myself now, so how about if I move on? Is that making
Mhm.
sense? Right?
Mhm.
Right? So mm, mm, there's this beautiful saying that goes like this: don't think everything you think. I should say it differently. Don't believe everything you think. In other words, the moment you start missing her and start feeling those feelings of, but we're destined to be together, be a little bit the sound of reason in your own head and be like, yeah, but she's not here loving me, right? Like she's not
Mhm.
here giving to me, adoring me, taking care of me, letting go of other people to be with me, right? And I'm the one, I'm choosing to be the star of my own life. Finally, I'm giving myself the leading role. I don't need somebody to give me that title. So I bless you. May you find everything you want. And I'm going to put this to the side. And now I'm really going to go out into the world with this feeling of, I'm here to be loved. right? Like I'm really attracting the partner in my life who's going to shower me and take care of me because I'm worthy. I'm worthy. If I wasn't worthy, I wouldn't exist, right? God would not
Mm.
have created me. And so that's really how I would love for you to move beyond this moment, because the rest with that pain and heartache and longing and always feeling like you have this heaviness to drag behind, oh, that's not a good way to live.
No, it's not.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And as you train yourself to always give to yourself first, right, to always consider yourself first, to be kind and loving with yourself first, guess what you're doing? You are telepathically emitting this message of, this is what I expect you people, this is how I treat myself, so this is how you treat me too. And telepathy always operates, which means those are the people you're going to bring into your life, versus what you were doing in the past of, I'm going to put you on a pedestal, you don't need to choose me, but meanwhile I'm going to please you in every possible way, and of course then choose somebody, right? Like that's what
Mhm.
telepathically you were saying to everybody, even though I know that you were doing your darnest to be like, no, but I'm trying to create a real relationship, right? Like a lifelong partnership. But telepathically, your beliefs and your emotions were emitting a different signal. And so naturally, that's what you were picking up. And so that's why please make it your mantra, literally as many times every day as you can repeat to yourself, I'm the one, I'm the one, I am the one.
Yeah.
Mm.
I am the one. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And I
And
can like it. Yeah. Oh,
and
sorry. Go ahead.
and think of the name that your parents gave you. They gave you the blessing of being so joyful and so full of life, and that's really what you want, right? You're like, I want this great love so I can enjoy life and swim in the ocean of life with somebody who's my person, right? Like we're
Hmm.
together.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, and just giving anybody like to like the benefit, like keeping my heart open, right? And seeing anybody who comes into my life newly every day, and
And it's not to say that she cannot come back into your life. I everything is possible. Anything is possible in this world, right? We're constantly drawing from the quantum field, every kind of crazy possibility, right? So it's not to say that she wouldn't come back, but my hope for you is that you will say, my heart is open. I want the greatest love. Just give me the greatest love. I'm ready to be loved the way I deserve to be loved, right?
yeah, yeah, which I do. I really wholeheartedly feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's like bringing tears on. Yeah,
Does
yeah.
it? I love that. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, because you're feeling it. You're feeling that permission within you of, I'm allowed to start living now, right?
hmm I really accept that love coming towards me and be really receptive to it.
So recently, I was on this podcast doing this interview with a man named Brian Hawley, and he had written a book called How to Find Love in 60 Seconds. And it was very cheeky, right? It was a fun, humorous book, but the title said it all. How do you find love in 60 seconds? Oh, you look around and there's always love around, right? So literally see every exchange as an opportunity for you to nurture and feed your soul with love, right? Be it an animal, be it a plant around you, be it a beautiful scenery, be it the post office guy, and anybody, right? It doesn't need to be, I need to wait for this passion to blossom in my life, for me to find this woman so that I can allow myself to feel love. Literally use everything to just bring love and nurture your soul, because oh, that would be such a good medicine for you right now.
Mhm. Definitely. I
Mm.
keep swinging at that. I'm definitely in the process of it, and
Mm-hmm.
it is helping a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, um,
I know that
yeah.
I spoke a lot and I said a lot of things. What is one thing that you feel committed to do from now on differently, right, as a result of everything we spoke of?
Um, well, definitely the regressions having more intention. If I do another regression. I actually woke up after the one this morning. I was like, yeah, I think my soul's had enough of that, And which is funny that you mentioned it afterwards. I'm like, okay, I know. But at the same time, like if I do go into it, like I didn't know that you could possibly have an intention on,
Yes, yes.
what kind of life you're looking to. Because I just like let show up whatever showed up. I was just like, okay, show me what you got to show me,
And that
you
showed you
know.
right where the work
And
was at the moment, right? And
right,
I feel like there's an important piece for you here to just and remember what Nathan, the teaching that he was offering, I forgive myself, right? I feel like there's this important piece of you forgiving yourself about what
yeah,
was, because it's not just about forgiving her. I can tell you've forgiven her,
yeah, I've
because
forgiven
you
her. Yeah.
speak very lovingly about her. It's
Uh,
really about saying, I forgive myself about my piece of
yeah,
not knowing any better back then, right? and
yeah,
and
yeah,
and that's an important piece, and that's an easy one to put in place by simply saying, I forgive myself. It was,
yeah.
I'm involved in a process of learning, and I learned, and now I know better next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's been my one of my challenging parts was forgiving myself, right? Because
Mm,
like, I tend to want to take responsibility for everything. So, but also I hold that responsibility. Like, yeah, this is what I did,
yeah,
and this is why this happened because of me, and
yeah.
just not being so hard on myself.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
light
Remember
myself.
Einstein, the solution is on the level above.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
And so I definitely could take that lesson, like just be
Yeah,
really forgiving and
yeah.
and more receptive. Just I mean, I even saw that, the past couple of days, like people complimenting me and being having that initial response of being like, yeah, and you too. But I
Just
like
receive
stopped
it.
myself last night. I was just like, wait, I take that back. I love you. I do feel that way for you, but I'm gonna let myself receive this right now because obviously like I'm
That's
gonna let myself receive. So I'm that's another thing I'm gonna do differently is really consciously focus on letting myself receive love, you
You're,
know.
this is so incredible. I'm loving everything that you're saying, and I'm loving how we're so on the same page. You're hearing everything. Where we're speaking in a way that tells me is that we're on the same page. So I'm really excited to celebrate with you when this amazing big love comes your way. So definitely let me know. Plus, meanwhile, stay in touch with me and let me know how you're doing, and how everything is unfolding for you. And honestly, I'm excited for you. You're on a great path. You're doing so well. It's these little tweaks that we spoke of, and over time, that will make a huge difference. And now they're all in place. So, like I said to you, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited too. I'd love to interview you sometime on another day in paradise too, and
Oh,
bring
that'll be so
more
fun.
access to healing, to
That'll be
everybody
so
around.
fun. I would love that. I would
Yeah.
love that. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of that. And so, meanwhile, I'm just sending you big hugs, and thank you so much for being willing to share, and also being willing to share this with others, because what you're going through is not just you, right? Like each one of us has that heartache of the one who got away, right?
Right. Yeah. And it was really hard to do it too.
Thank
but
you. Thank
but
you.
yeah,
That's even
I
more
think that's
meaningful
kind
then.
of where that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's just like, oh, well, like especially like a story so like, you know, vulnerable to me.
Incredibly personal, yeah.
It's like I don't want to call out that person either, but like I also feel like, there's healing to be had for other people too. So um yeah, I just wanted to give myself generously to other people too. So my
Thank you.
story.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm sending you big hugs, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye for
I'll
now.
see you.
Bye.
Bye.